Well, good morning, everyone. Here we are. It is our last day of the 6th week of virtual preschool, and we are continuing on talking about pumpkins this week. So let's see what day of the week it is and what date it is on the calendar. So what was the last day of school we had? Yeah, it was Wednesday. So the next day was Thursday, and that was a 3's day. And now we have, Friday. So let's move that frog down to Friday. All right, let's look over here. What's the name of our month? Yes, October. Let's count the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. What comes next? Yes, 22. So let's see here. Apple, pumpkin, apple, pumpkin, apple. Yes, so we have a number 22 on an apple. That was yesterday. That was Thursday. So let's see here. 20, 21, 22, 23. Yes, so apple, pumpkin, apple, pumpkin, apple, pumpkin. Yes, so we have a number 23 on a pumpkin. So why don't we say the date together? Today is Friday, October 23rd. All right. Now we're going to look out the window at our own houses and see what the weather is like. Let's see our weather cards here. And remember, you can have more than one kind of weather on each day. So today, is it sunny? Is it rainy? Is it snowy? Is it partly cloudy? Is it cloudy? Is it stormy? Is it foggy? Or is it windy? Okay, so you have to look out the window at your house and figure out what the weather is. Let's see what the temperature feels like outside. Now remember, you might have to step out the door to figure this one out. So is it cool today? Is it warm today? Is it cold today? Or is it hot today? All right, so you step out and figure out what it feels like outside. And remember, we are still in the season of fall. Fall is the whole yellow section there. And like I said before, we've been talking about pumpkins. We've been learning how pumpkins grow. So today I have another book in our mystery envelope that talks about how a pumpkin grows. Let's see what book it is. Let's see here. Oh, we see a pretty big pumpkin on the front. Aha, so this one is called The Pumpkin Patch. Now this has pictures of real pumpkins in real pumpkin patches. These are actually photographs in this book. Our other two books were drawn pictures, right? This one is photographs. So let's see here. It's autumn. Remember, that means fall. The days are cool and crisp. The wind rustles the corn stalks and shakes the leaves from the trees. Down the dusty road in the pumpkin patch, the pumpkins are round and ripe. They are ready to be picked. This pumpkin patch is part of a large vegetable farm. The farmer grows peppers, corn, and squash. Pumpkins are a type of squash. Who knew that already? A lot of work was done in the pumpkin patch before the pumpkins were ready to be picked and carved into Halloween jack-o'-lanterns. Work begins in July. The farmer prepares the soil in his fields for the pumpkin seeds. First, a plow slices and turns over the earth. See the plow doing that there. Next, the ground is smoothed by a machine. Then, straight rows are marked in the fields. A crew of workers plants the pumpkin seeds in the rows. With a hoe, a man digs a hole in the ground. Another man drops a couple of seeds in the hole and then covers the seeds with earth. That's kind of the same way you all would be planting seeds if you did it in your own garden, right? Pumpkin seeds come from inside pumpkins. The seeds are creamy white in color, but the seeds the farmer buys from the seed company have been coated with a pink powder. This chemical keeps the seeds from being eaten by underground insects after the seeds are planted. Now, when I buy my pumpkin seeds, I prefer to buy pumpkin seeds that don't have any pink or other color chemicals on them. I want to buy them that are fresh out of the pumpkin with no chemicals on them. Under the warm earth, the seeds begin to sprout. After a week, 2 leaves appear where each seed was planted. These first leaves are called seed leaves. So that's the sprout we were talking about in the other books, the seed leaves. Next, pumpkin vine leaves appear. These leaves are a different shape. They have jagged edges and feel prickly. The leaves grow quickly. So these bigger ones are the pumpkin vine leaves, and they actually have a pretty interesting smell to them too. The pumpkin plants have been placed far enough apart to leave room for the pumpkin vines to spread. Before the plants get too big, the farmer weeds between the rows. Weeds take away water and food from the growing pumpkin plants. More new leaves grow. Stems grow too. The stems twist and crawl along the ground as they become vines. Curly tendrils appear on the vines. They wrap themselves around other parts of the plants to help the vines spread. The vines become thick and strong. Soon they will be long enough to touch one another between the rows. Now, when I've planted pumpkins, I often have to kind of move my vines around, and they're kind of difficult because of those little squiggly tendrils they're talking about. You kind of have to pull them really hard to move them where you want them. The leaves look like big hands covering the earth. Meanwhile, flowers begin to bloom on the vines, and that's the same thing we talked about the other day. First it's the sprout, then we have the big pumpkin leaves, then we have the pumpkin flower. Some of the pumpkin flowers sit on top of little green bulbs. These little bulbs will swell beneath the flowers. They are baby pumpkins. So that looks really similar to the picture we saw in our other book with the drawings in it, the green pumpkin with a flower on top. But did you know that not all flowers on the pumpkin vine will get a pumpkin underneath them? Yep, only some of them. With water and sunlight, the little green pumpkins grow bigger and bigger. The pumpkins are hard to find among the leaves because they are the same color, but they do not stay hidden for long. The pumpkin skins slowly turn from green to orange. And our other book talked about that too, didn't it? By the middle of October, the pumpkins are plump and orange all over. They are ready to be picked. First, the workers cut the vines to untangle them. Then they cut the stems of the pumpkins with big shears. And part of the reason they have to do that is because they're so thick, the stems are, but also because the stems will have little pricklies on them. So if you try to touch them, they'll prickle your hand. The farmer's family decorates the farm stand for Halloween. They place pumpkins all around on the soft straw. They hope customers will want to stop at the stand with the Wicked Witch. Oh my goodness, that is kind of a scary Wicked Witch, isn't it? The Scarecrow and the paper mache pumpkin that is big enough to walk into. Oh my gosh, look, there's kids in there. That's a really big paper mache pumpkin. There are piles and piles of pumpkins that have been grown on the farm. They come in different sizes and different shapes. And remember, pumpkins are a kind of gourd. So there's lots of different kinds of gourds. Some have smooth skins, others have big bumps. Some are big and some are little. Children come to the patch to pick out their pumpkins. So the pumpkins that these kids are holding are called pie pumpkins. Those are the ones that you would make pumpkin pie with. You wouldn't use these big ones to make pumpkin pie. They see and touch the pumpkins. They roll them on the ground and hold them up. This squash makes a great crown. This pumpkin is round and smooth with a good strong stem for the lid of a jack-o'-lantern. When he sells his pumpkins, the farmer's work is done for the year. Now it's time for the children to take their pumpkins home and carve them. And right here is a good time to tell you that you should not pick up pumpkins by their stems, because the stem can break off if you do that. And then you might be disappointed that your pumpkin has no stem. With a candle inside, the pumpkin glows on Halloween night. Ghosts and goblins beware. And we remember that a pumpkin that has been carved is called a jack-o'-lantern. All right. So I have some new work to show to you today. We have a new pin poking that came home in your packet this week. So remember, you're going to get out your pin poking packet, your carpet out, and your pin poker. And this week we have pumpkins. And remember, we're trying to poke holes on the line. And we also remember, what are the rules of using a pin poker? Do we carry it around the house with us? Nope. Do we poke ourselves with it? Nope. Do we poke other people with it? Nope. We keep it right with our work, and we only use it for pin poking work, right? So let's take it out of the cork where it's being safely held, and we're going to just start poking on the line as close together as we can. Now remember, I'm going really fast because I've practiced this a lot, and also because I want to be able to finish it to show you, and I don't want it to take too long. Alright, so I'm doing this really quickly, but you're probably going to go a little more slowly because you want to make sure to get those pin pokes right on that line of the pumpkin. And you're going to have to keep moving it, remember, because the little carpet is a small one. It's not like the big ones we have at school. You can use your helper hand to move that paper around on the carpet. Almost around here back to where I started, and then I will be able to do the magic and pop out the pumpkin. Now remember, at first it's better to have a grown-up do the magic because we want to try to make sure it doesn't get ripped when we pull it out. Alright, and then when I'm done, I remember to always put my pin poker back in the cork to keep it safe. And And then you can see the little holes that I poked all the way around are in a pumpkin shape. So now I'm going to pop it out. And remember, if you don't put your holes close enough together, you won't be able to make the magic happen. It will not pop out. So it's important to make sure those holes get as close together as they can. All right, so here is our pin poke pumpkin, and you can hang that on your window or anywhere you would like. And since I'm done pin poking, I'm going to remember to put my pin poking things back together and give them to my mom or dad to put up where they belong. Okay? All right, I have one more thing to show you. We did one of these for apples. This is the story of how a pumpkin grows. So the first thing you're going to do, so this came in your packet, and then you'll need to find a piece of paper to do it on. You can either use, if you have big paper, you can use a big paper, or you can use a small paper and cut it in half and glue it or tape it together to make a longer piece. So I'm cutting with my scissors, and I always remember to keep my thumb up, right? 2 fingers in the bottom, thumb on the top. And I'm cutting on this dotted line. And I'm going as slowly as I need to so that I try to stay on that dotted line, all right? We're not trying to be super fast with this. We're trying to stay on the line. That's more important than being fast. Now we're going to look at the pictures, and we're going to figure out what comes first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, I think there's 8, 7th and 8th. So when we want to grow a pumpkin, the first thing we have to do is what? That's right, we have to plant the pumpkin seed. So there's a picture of planting the pumpkin seed. So I'm going to put some glue on the back of the picture that shows how to plant the pumpkin seed. So after we plant the pumpkin seed, the first thing that happens is the little sprout comes up, right? And this says a tiny plant grows. And remember, our book we just read said that those leaves on the sprout are called seed leaves. They're the very first leaves that grow. All right, after the seed leaves grow, we know that a vine starts to grow and we get the pumpkin leaves. Now these are the ones that have a different shape to them. They are prickly and they also have an interesting smell. If you go to a pumpkin patch that is not, where the pumpkins are not ready to be picked yet, so earlier in the summer, you will be able to smell those leaves. They have a very distinct smell. So after the leaves grow, then we remember that we get a yellow or an orange flower. All right, and after the flower grows, we remember that we get a tiny pumpkin, and that pumpkin is the color green. That's right, and this one doesn't show it, but at first there will be a flower still on top of that pumpkin. All right, and remember, not every flower will get a pumpkin. All right, so there's the green pumpkin, and the pumpkin starts to get bigger. And as the pumpkin gets bigger, it is also going to start to change color, right? It's going to start to change from green to orange as it gets bigger and bigger. So if you want to color yours in, your pumpkin pictures here, you can. And then, after you pick your pumpkin, apparently this is a pie pumpkin, because they decided to make a pumpkin pie. So the reason that the smaller ones are called pie pumpkins and are used for making things like pumpkin pie or pumpkin muffins or whatever is because they have a thicker flesh in them, and it's sweeter. All right, so you want to use a pie pumpkin to make pumpkin pie. You don't want to use a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin. All right, so there is my story of how a pumpkin grows. All right, that is what I have for you today. Hopefully I will see a lot of you at packet pickup shortly, and let's see, we will have circle time again on Monday and small groups on Monday, and I hope you all have a great weekend. Bye everyone.